Thank you very much, Mr. Tambour. It is a great pleasure for us to co-sponsor this center, this project and conference. I'd like to first start off by thanking the Egyptian Capital Market Association, both the chairman as well as Mr. Sameh Samour, for all of the hard work that went into this project. All too often, people at the end of a conference or a program acknowledge the people that really did the work, but it's nice, I think, to do it at the beginning. Our center is part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and we're delighted to be in partnership not just with the Egyptian Capital Markets Association, but also to work with the World Bank and with our old friends, Dr. Ahmed Galal at the Egyptian Center for Economic Studies. Our interest in corporate governance is simple, and it follows on the remarks of the chairman has already made, and that is that it's at the very heart, corporate governance is at the very heart of building a market economy. And for us at the U.S. Chamber, we have had a long history of partnership with organizations in Egypt, going back to the U.S. Egyptian Business Council. We have a long partnership with the American Chamber of Commerce here. So we have a deep and abiding commitment to working with the market participants in Egypt and the mutual interest of building economic relations between our two countries. I'll be on one of the panels later today, so I won't go into a long discussion on corporate governance. There are people that are much more capable of discussing the Egyptian practice in any case. I would simply say from our point of view that there are three levels of discussion and that the conference mirrors those levels. And this again is something similar to what Mr. Tambour has already said, but if you think of it in terms of the law, building the institutions, and then finally the actual practice of corporate governance, these are one way of looking at it. And in each one of these areas, there's work to be done. There's much progress that's already been made, but much work to be done, as we'll hear later today from the experts that have conducted the assessments and studies, and as to what their recommendations might be. But I would like to also just say that we're delighted that we have a partnership here between the private sector and the public sector. Because at the end of the day, good corporate governance is not simply a function of simply writing legislation and then saying, fine, the law is in place, now let's go do it. Good corporate governance has to be built as a real partnership between the private sector and the public sector. And the most important part of it is bringing those practices and norms into the boardroom, into the management of companies. And that, at the end of the day, as we'll hear from both Egyptian and international experts during our conference, at the end of the day, it's going to be practice in the companies, as well as the general framework of rules and regulations, but ultimately practice within the companies that will attract the foreign investment, that will make the Egyptian companies competitive on world markets, and that will further build on the progress that we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years in the growth and development of the Egyptian market. So on behalf of my colleagues at the Center for International Private Enterprise,